Yeah, definitely we are seeing hurdles and challenges and headwinds for local startups, for example, in Hungary or in the region. And if you want to scale globally and you have a high vision, what you need to do, what you need to have also is, you have to be fast. So most of the companies who are failing, I saw they were actually slow, so they didn't make strong fast decisions, and they didn't know where to put their focus on. So focus is also important, that like which way you wanna go with your product, which segment you wanna target. And it's also important that you should have a global mindset. A lot of local startups are thinking that, okay, I'm here in my country. I try to be the number one in this country. And if I have this country, then I will move to other countries in the region and then I can scale globally. So, and that brings you kind of the wrong mindset, because you are developing your product and your team to fit into your one country market. And the right thing to do, based on what we saw from exceptionally good startups, if you are developing your product and your team uh, globally, so not focusing on your own country. And here it's also good to have or attract founders or management who are from abroad, and they have maybe different experience, also good industry experience. They know the clients, so that's the way to go if you want to scale.
I would indicate two main hurdles for Bulgarian companies that have hard time scaling abroad, and that's a general opinion, of course. First of all, it's the access to network, access to contacts abroad, and the access to ecosystem. Basically, our ecosystem is still new. Uh, we we saw our first startups basically 10, 15 years ago. The typical understanding of a startup that now is considered globally as a phenomenon. We started seeing it maybe 15 years ago. And after that, our ecosystem has been growing, but it's still not as developed as the ones in the Western world. That's why when you discuss global opportunities with local startups, you see their lack of experience and lack of access to that know-how, which is very important. And on the other side, I would mention expertise in business development, in sales, and in marketing. We're very good and talented IT professionals, software developers, engineers, pure deep tech talent we have here in Bulgaria, but usually that needs to be teamed up with a expert from the sales background, and the better mix between the two, the bigger chances for successful global expansion of that startup.
I believe that one of the biggest hurdles that local teams are struggling with is assembling the right team, and especially in terms of attracting senior enough marketing and sales people that understand how to sell and market a technology product. Otherwise, I don't see a problem locally for teams to develop the product, but actually selling it afterwards is a bigger challenge. And arguably, the biggest mistake that I've seen is the lack of focus when going after bigger markets. This results in a poorly defined market, which results in not knowing your target customers, and respectively suboptimal value proposition?
Two hurdles that we identify, especially over the last year with the changing environment and the global crisis in scaling globally, was firstly that with fintechs that want to sell to B2B customers, found it difficult in selling cold lead new customers. Here, our learning was that programs like Elevator Lab at RBI are a very good intro into large organizations where startups can prove themselves and win large corporates as their customers. And a second hint from my side that we learned was that even when having global ambitions as a startup, it is, especially in times of crisis, very, very important to have investors on board who understand your startup, who understand also the particular geography that you're in, the particular vertical and industry that you are in. And we've seen over the last year that from our side, Elevator Ventures, we could contribute to our portfolio with our know-how in banking, fintech, and Central and Eastern Europe to not only have our portfolio companies survive, but actually excel also during difficult times.
In our region, of course, we see great founders and quite often very talented technically people. And the most common hurdles, though, are people that are developing a product prior to develop the sales organization and the sales. Prior to sell their product. And we see a lot of people really working hard on making the product perfect while they're still suffering having any very early revenues. So this is typically the most common mistake that we see in startups in our region. So what we encourage people is to go and look for customers from day one.
Two main hurdles we see are getting the growth strategy right in terms of what mix of organic and inorganic market penetration should be pursued, and finding the right equity partner and funding mix to support such global expansion. A common mistake we sometimes see is that the cost of entry into multiple markets is underestimated, which could result in suboptimal decisions on the funding needs of the company.